Hi, everyone, and welcome to Firefly and the Willow Yoga. I'm Rebecca. Today's class will focus on hamstrings, groin muscles, and the lower back. I'll be using 2 blocks and 2 blankets for today's practice. So gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat. So come down to seated on the edge of a couple of blankets or maybe on a pillow here, just something to elevate your hips slightly so that you can give yourself some room to move. And just allow yourself to sit up nice and tall, finding a comfortable way of sitting. And begin by taking 3 deep breaths. Inhaling all the way to the top, filling up your belly. Allowing your lung tissue to stretch and expand. And then allow yourself to return to normal breathing. Just taking a moment to check in with where you are today. Maybe allowing yourself to drop out of the thinking mind, out of your head and into your body. Imagine if you could stretch internally down into your own body, what would that feel like? Perhaps feeling your awareness moving down past your shoulders, stretching down into your fingers like you're putting on giant gloves. Moving down into your heart space now. Maybe imagining what the world would look like if you could look out at it from your heart. Feeling a sense of openness in the center of the chest. And then allowing that sense of openness and space to sink down into your belly. Allow your awareness to follow down into your sit bones, down into your thighs, knees, and then all the way down your calves and into your toes. Again, imagining here like you're putting your own legs on as if they were socks, feeling them from the inside out. And now that we've brought our awareness fully into the body, we'll begin to move from this place, striving to keep our attention and awareness extended out into all the edges of the body, letting the thinking, judging mind go just for this period of time that we spend on our mats. Taking another deep breath all the way to the top of your lungs, feeling your entire lung expand, the sides, the back, and then exhaling through the nose, making that ujjayi breath sound in the back of your throat. Now allowing your eyes to flutter open. Going to come into a seated twist. So taking the hands out next to you on the mat, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. And imagine here that you're gathering a great big ball of air in between your hands. Maybe you can allow your palms to make that shape like you're holding a ball. And then reaching up nice and tall here. As we're exhaling, we'll twist to one side, either side. And if you're sitting up on some pillows or blankets today and it's difficult to touch the floor, you might just bring that arm, the back of the hand, to the small of the back and allow the shoulder to open this way. Inhaling to grow tall and exhaling, twisting from the center of the chest, looking out over the shoulder. Releasing the arms back up overhead as we inhale and unwind. And then exhale, twisting in the other direction. Inhaling, grow up nice and tall. And exhale, twisting from the center of the chest. Inhale, arms come back overhead. And exhale, hands come together, coming down through heart center and slowly releasing down to the knees. I'm going to bring some mobility into the spine. So beginning by opening the chest, pulling back lightly on the knees, maybe taking the chin up towards the ceiling. And then as we're exhaling, we'll bring the belly button into the spine, rounding through the back, pulling back against the knees. Inhale to open the chest. Exhale, rounding back. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, rounding back. And then moving through a couple more of these with your own breath. And then bringing that to stillness, coming back to a nice straight spine. We'll bring the soles of the feet to touch as we come into Upavista Kanasana here with our hips elevated. So if this is a shape that you practice often, just take a moment to notice how this shape feels different for you if you're seated up on a blanket or the edge of a pillow. And then bringing your hands either to your big toes or to the ankles, allow yourself to sit up really tall. Seeing how the angle of the pelvis seated up on blankets here maybe allows the knees to rest in a different position or the heels. Now, if you'd like to stay right here, just allow yourself to settle in for a moment, maybe lower the gaze if you like. Or if you like to invite in a little different sensation, keeping the chest nice and open wide this way, we'll begin to walk the fingertips out. Allowing yourself to sink down any amount that feels comfortable for you. Everyone's going to be a little different. And then when you've found a resting place, allow yourself to take 3 slow breaths, breathing into the inside of the legs here as we open the hips and stretch through the inner thigh muscle. And then when you're ready, walking the fingers back slowly towards the body, coming back up to seated. We're going to extend the left leg out long now and bring the the right sole of the foot to the inner thigh. So coming into a half butterfly pose here. And then pulling the toes of that left foot back towards the face, allowing the knee, to be gently bent here if you like. Going to come into another twist. So inhaling the arms up overhead. We'll twist first toward the extended leg. So just allow yourself to, again, bring that hand to the small of the back or maybe to the back of the pillows. And then inhaling, arms come up overhead. And exhale, twisting in the other direction. Lifting the chin from the chest slightly, allowing this twist to feel maybe dignified or proud in the body. And then releasing that back to center. We're going to take the feeling of that twist as we turn the belly button toward the extended leg. So keeping that feeling of the twist in the body, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. And then exhale as we extend out long from the center of the chest over the extended leg. Allow your hands to come down and rest wherever they will, maybe dragging back on the fingertips a little here to help the chest remain open. And you can choose to close the eyes here or lower the gaze, but just beginning to move gently with your breath, inhaling to release, exhaling to deepen into the stretch. Inhale to release. Exhale, flowing down. Repeating this with your own breath. On your next inhale, allowing yourself to inhale all the way back up to seated. We're going to extend the other leg now, coming into a wide-legged seat. This is Upavista Kanasana. And so you might just reach down here and pull the flesh of your calves forward just a little to allow your legs to be open wide. And if you're still having difficulty sitting up straight here, you might allow yourself to sit up on some additional blocks or blankets. So from here, we're going to take the left hand and extend it along the inside of the left leg. We're inhaling up through the right arm. And as we're exhaling, we're just going to slide that left arm along the inside of the left leg. And what we'd like to keep a focus on here is at what point does the shoulder begin to roll forward? So see if you can stay in alignment with the body. Even if it means that you don't go down very far, just feeling that nice straight alignment of the spine. And we'll begin to flow with this as well. So inhaling, we'll come up a little. Exhale, deepen. Inhale to release. Exhale to deepen. Inhale to release. Exhale, deepen. And inhale, releasing all the way back up to seated. We're going to turn the body now slightly towards this left leg, as we bring the right leg along behind. So some people are familiar with this as a runner's stretch. And sitting up nice and tall here, we're looking for an extension in the front of the bent leg. So if you need to change the direction or the angle of your body on your supports in order to bring that sense of lengthening into the thigh here, feel free to move yourself around a bit. And so sitting up nice and tall here might be plenty for you to bring this sense of extension in. And if so, just remain here. If you'd like to bring in a sense of more length, you can bring the hands back behind the hips, opening the chest, or perhaps even begin to support yourself as you lean backwards, bringing in more length, more extension. If you have in your practice to lower yourself down to your elbows or to the floor or to a bolster here, now's a good time to practice that. Continuing to keep that right foot. Sorry, I can't do right and left this morning. Continuing to keep the left foot flexed back towards the face. And just allowing yourself to breathe and settle in here. Again, finding a nice 3 breaths. And then if you have reclined any amount, allow yourself to sit up nice and tall. We're going to extend that right leg back out for Upavista Kanasana, wide leg pose. Maybe lean forward just a little. Then we're going to play with our splits pose here today. So if you have a couple of blocks and you'd like to bring them into your practice, you can bring those blocks around your extended left leg. We're going to take the right leg and bend it again, and this time gently come up onto the right knee. So now we're extending into a sort of half split here. And if you'd like to play with some extension of that back leg, you can bring the blocks up to their highest height so that you're able to give yourself plenty of room. And then just allow yourself to maybe walk that back knee back a little, remembering that any amount is helpful here. What we're going for is the sensation more than the shape. So now here, feeling that extension, that same extension of the hip flexor and the back leg, and then our extension of the hamstrings and the front leg. Settling in for 3 breaths. And then moving gently with yourself, maybe pressing into the tops of the blocks. Just allow yourself to unwind here and come back to seated. And then extending both legs out long again, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to bring the left leg into the inside of the right thigh now. And now coming through the same sequence on the other side, inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhale, twisting towards the extended leg. Getting that sensation of the belly button twisting towards the knee. Inhaling to unwind, arms overhead. And exhale, dropping down to the other side. Inhale, arms come up overhead. And then twisting the belly button back over the extended leg. And exhaling, extending into our Janu Shirshasana. Allowing the hands to fall wherever the body guides you. And taking your 3 breaths, inhaling to release slightly. Exhale to deepen. Inhale, release. Exhale to deepen. And again, inhale, release. Exhale, deepen. And then inhale all the way back up. Extending the left leg out long, flexing both feet, maybe pulling the flesh out from under the calves. Taking now the right hand to the inside of the right leg, inhaling up through the left arm, and exhaling over only as much as you can while keeping that shoulder peeled back, chest open wide. Inhale to flow out, release. Exhale, flowing back in. Inhale, release. Exhale, deepen. Inhale, release. And exhale, deepen. And then inhale, flowing back out all the way. Taking now the left leg back around behind us. And then changing the direction of the pelvis any way that you need to in order to bring in that sense of length in the front leg, or sorry, in the bent leg. And then if you like, beginning to lower yourself back or just sitting up nice and tall. Lowering yourself back any amount or not at all. Bringing the right toes back towards the face, continuing to keep that foot active. And when you're ready, inhaling to release. And you can bring those blocks in, if you like, around the extended right knee. And then we'll come up on the left knee, coming into a half split. Or if you like, and you have a full split in your practice, walking that knee back and exploring this splits pose. This pose called Hanumasana in Sanskrit. It's a tribute to the Hindu god Hanuman, who apparently leapt over the world, I think, with extended legs. And then pressing into your blocks, allowing yourself to move, carefully and come back, settling back down in your seat, moving your blocks out of the way. And then we'll gently extend that leg, maybe bringing the hands along in front, coming into a little bit of a forward fold here. And then inhaling back up to seated. I'm going to bring the feet back out in front. Feel free to turn on your mat here if you like. I'm going to stay facing you. Just come into a Dandasana. Allow the knees to be soft here if you need to, pressing the hands or the fists into the floor or your support, allowing your spine to be as straight as possible from the crown of the head to the tailbone. And if you like to release the hands up overhead, we'll inhale and then exhale, extending out over the legs, allowing the knees to bend or be soft, allowing the hands to fall wherever they fall. Taking our 3 breaths here, inhaling, releasing slightly, exhale, deepen. As you deepen, imagine yourself extending out from the pelvis over the legs. The top of your body becoming long. And then walking yourself all the way back up to seated. If you have some supports here, move these out of the way. And allow your soles of your feet to come to the floor. Knees are bent here. And we're going to bring the hands back behind the hips with all 10 fingers pointing forward here. Now this next pose can be a little bit of a challenge on the shoulders. So if you have any shoulder difficulties, you might just choose to lower back slightly or even lower down onto your back and take a more traditional bridge pose. So we're going to go into reverse tabletop. So pulling the belly button in, really pressing into your hands and feet. Inhale to allow your hips to lift from the floor. And keeping the chin tucked in towards the chest for this practice, being kind to the cervical spine. Inhale here, sending the hips up just a little more. Exhale, release back down to the floor. Take a moment here to make any adjustments that you feel like make this pose more comfortable for you. And then we'll do this once more, pressing into our foundations, inhaling, hips come up, feeling that stretch through the front of the shoulder. And then exhale, coming back down. Move the legs to the side now and come into a tabletop. And if you like, you can come through a vinyasa here. It's up to you. If you'd like to do that, you can roll the toes under, coming into a plank or half plank. And from here, you can go straight to down dog if you like, or coming forward on the toes, hugging the elbows into the sides, allowing yourself to lower down slow, hovering here at the bottom for just a moment. 3, 2, 1, and release down to the mat. Taking the tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale up, baby cobra, using those back muscles. Exhale, release. Rolling the toes under, pressing up, downward facing dog. Done some lengthening through the hamstrings. So you may feel more open in this pose than you do in your usual first downward dog of the day. And if you don't, that's okay too. Just take a moment here to explore 4. And then we're taking the gaze up towards the fingers, walking the feet up towards the hands. Coming to rest here for a moment. Forward fold. And then inhale all the way up to stand. Bringing the hands to heart center. I'm going to step out wide on the mat now. Coming into a wide leg stance. And we'll just allow ourselves here to first bring the heels of our hands to the small of the back. So bending the knees slightly, engaging the thighs, getting that sensation of moving the kneecap up the knee. And then from here, opening the chest and just inviting this little back bend. And then inhale to release. I'm going to take the hands and interlace the fingers behind the base of the spine. And then bringing the palms of the hands as close together as they will come for you, we'll press the knuckles down and away. Stretching through the front of the shoulder. See if you can get a sense of the entirety of your front body moving up and in. So hugging the quadricep muscles, the thigh muscles into the big bones of the leg, pulling in through the belly button. Knees are soft. And then from here, we'll begin to lower forward. And you don't have to come down all the way, coming down just to the place where you feel a sense of balance. And then allowing the knuckles to rise up over the shoulders any amount, or keeping them at the base of the spine. Continuing to reach the knuckles up towards the ceiling here, avoiding the temptation to drop down into the front of the shoulder joint. Feeling the stretch through the shoulders. And maybe taking a look out behind. And then we'll allow those interlaced fingers to slowly unlace, flowing down, coming down to rest on the floor. Planting the left hand in front of the face, we'll inhale the right hand up, coming into a twist. And then exhale, right hand comes down. Inhaling, left arm comes up. And exhale, left arm comes down. Bending the knees slightly here, we'll take one hand over each bent knee as we inhale to rise up. We're going to turn the left foot out, coming into Trikonasana or triangle pose. And allow yourself to turn the right toes in at about a 45-degree angle. We'll inhale the arms up halfway. And then as we're exhaling, sending those hips over to the right, reaching that left hand out and allowing yourself to find your way into triangle. If you like to use a block for this pose, you can take a block to the outside of that foot. And then just allow the hand to come down to rest on the block. And then engaging everything, we'll inhale to come out. Coming back to our arms extended halfway. And then exhaling, rotating all 10 toes forward. Allowing the arms to drop. You can switch sides with your block if you like. Turning out through the right toes now, bringing those left toes at a bit of an angle. Inhaling, arms come up halfway. Exhale, sending those hips out to the left this time and coming down into triangle. Engaging everything now. Inhaling to rise up. Hands come back halfway. And then exhale, dropping the hands, turning the toes forward, and we'll heel toe to the inside of the mat. And shift those blocks off to the side if you choose to use them. So we're going to come into our tree pose now, but we're going to do an exploration here that's a little different than usual. So you might come close to a wall or a piece of furniture because you may not find your balance in this pose. We're just seeking it. So we're going to take a little exploration through the body as we do this. So bringing your weight into one foot, allow yourself as usual to turn the other foot out at an angle. Maybe bring the heel right over the ankle here. And you can do whatever you want with your hands right now. Hands are not important here. So firming down into that foundational foot, begin to slowly lift the toes from the mat. So we're moving very slowly and mindfully here. Maybe now the heel is about at the height of the knee. And perhaps this is where you stay, finding the calf with the sole of the foot, remembering not to rest the foot on the inside of the knee. Or perhaps you continue to travel up here, maybe reaching down for the inside of the leg. So coming into our tree pose very slowly and mindfully. And then once you find your way to the place where you'd like to rest, then begin to play with the balance, perhaps drawing in the pelvic floor, drawing in the belly button, firming down through the supporting hip and leg, opening the chest. Just paying attention to all the little parts of tree pose. And then when you're ready to release, bringing the elevated leg around in front, allowing the pelvis to realign, and very slowly lowering the leg back to the mat. Take a moment here to shake that off, and then we'll turn to the other side. And so again, grounding down into that supporting leg, turning the toes out to the side, firming down through the leg, and then beginning to just very slowly lift the toes. You may wibble and wobble quite a lot, exploring tree pose in this way. Just allow yourself to be okay with that. There's some gratitude to be had for just the ability to stand on your mat. And then when you're ready to release, bring that leg back around in front and allow it to lower down to the mat. And shaking out anything that you need here. And then we're going to take the feet out just a bit wider than shoulder width. We're coming into Garland pose, Malasana, Yogi squat here. So if you like to have a block or something to support your sacrum, you can bring that in. And so toes pointed forward or slightly out to the side. I'm going to hands to heart center, rolling the shoulders onto the back. Nice big deep breath. And then as you're exhaling, just allow yourself to bring the hips down, maybe resting the sacrum on a block, maybe not. And once you've found your way into this shape, really press the hands together actively, bringing the elbows straight out to the side. Pressing the elbows to the insides of the knees and the knees to the insides of the elbows. And we'll stay here for 3 more breaths. And then releasing the hands to the floor, maybe taking one hand behind you for support. We'll come back down to seated. Extending the legs out long for Dandasana. Just take a moment here to rest and reflect. Or if you like to extend out long over the legs one more time, taking that Dandasana forward fold. Inhaling to release. And then we'll shift down onto the back. Bringing the knees into the chest. Rolling side to side a little, giving yourself a little back massage. I'm going to come into fish pose next. So allowing the soles of the feet to find the floor. You might like to make this little diamond with your hands underneath the top of your sacrum. So we're bringing the hands underneath the back here. And if the diamond shape doesn't work for you, feel free to release that and just allow the hands to rest underneath the lower back. Extending the legs out long here, pointing out through the toes. Just taking a moment to feel this stretch in the tops of the feet and the shins. We're going to press into the elbows and allow the crown of the head to rest lightly on the floor as we come into this back bend. The head is almost hovering above the floor here, not putting a lot of weight into the cervical spine. And then when you're ready to release, pressing into the elbows again to first lift all the weight out of the head, then tucking the chin and lowering back slowly to the ground. Releasing the hands from underneath the back. We'll bring the knees back into the chest. Again, maybe rolling from side to side here. And then we're going to allow the soles of the feet to find the floor, coming out to the wide edges of the mat. And just bringing in a little bit of an outer thigh stretch as we come into our twist here. So arms opening out wide, or maybe coming to cactus arms, goddess arms. We'll inhale here, and as we're exhaling, just allow both knees to fall over to one side. Taking your gaze over the opposite shoulder. And if it feels good, you can prop your foot up on your knee. There are very few things in life or in yoga that bring our leg into this internally rotated position. So just take a moment to appreciate that your body can move this way. And if you found that bind, allow yourself to release it now. Inhaling the knees back up, maybe finding a little windshield wiper if you like. And then dropping the knees over towards the other side. Taking that little bind if you like it. And then allowing that to release. Knees come back up. Bring the knees back into the chest. And then one last movement here, choosing what you would like, maybe staying here, rocking side to side, coming into happy baby. Maybe you'd like one more extension or opener for the legs, grasping the toes, opening the legs out wide, maybe rocking side to side. So just taking anything that appeals to you here. And if you have some movement going, allowing that to come to stillness. We'll all meet back with the knees pulled into the chest. And then extend the legs out long towards the edges of the mat. Taking the shoulders up under the back. And coming in to Shavasana. Allowing the body to become heavy and relax into the floor. Maybe exploring again that sensation of our awareness and attention moving down into the body, stretching out into the fingers and toes. Perhaps feeling that faint buzz or tingle in the hands and feet. Those places where we can most easily sense our own energy in the body. And then just taking a few moments here to rest in our awareness of what it feels like to be in this body at this time, in this place today. Take a deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe run your thumb along each of your fingertips. You can inhale your arms up overhead if you like, rolling to one side. Resting here for a moment. And then when you're ready, you can press yourself back up to a seated position. We'll end today's class with a quote from BKS Iyengar. If you can stand on your mat for yoga and you have available at least 15 minutes, you are truly a lucky person. That alone is a priceless gift and a tool to improve your life, which not many people have. With these thoughts, have a sense of gratitude for what's available to you. You get to practice. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. I am grateful for all of you every time I get to practice with you. And I hope that your yoga today follows you off the mat.